The Obsidian Depths was the most feared prison facility in the galactic Concordat. Carved into an asteroid made of near-impenetrable dark matter composite, it housed the galaxy's most dangerous criminals. The guards were selected from the most brutal warrior species, Carthian enforcers with armor-plated hides, Vexenar shock troopers with built-in neural disruptors, and Grimlock heavies whose mere presence could induce paralytic fear in most sentient species. No one had ever escaped the Obsidian Depths. More importantly, no one had ever wanted to stay. When the transport ship arrived carrying a single human prisoner, Warden Krelnox assumed it was a mistake. His scanning appendages reviewed the data 3 times. A human. From Earth, a Class 15 Deathworld. His translator couldn't quite capture his incredulity. What crime could possibly warrant placement here? The file was surprisingly thin. The prisoner's name was Marcus Chen, a freight hauler who'd been caught smuggling medical supplies to a quarantined colony world. A minor infraction, typically worth a fine or community service. But he'd punched a diplomatic corps officer who tried to confiscate the medicine. Politics, Krelnox muttered. They want to make an example of him. The warden watched through security feeds as Marcus was processed. The human was unremarkable by Deathworld standards, roughly 1.8 meters tall, lean build, dark hair graying at the temples. He didn't struggle against the restraints or protest his treatment. He simply observed everything with calm, patient eyes. Cell block Omega, Krelnox ordered. Maximum isolation. Let's see how long his Deathworld resilience lasts. Cell block Omega was where they kept the truly irredeemable, creatures who'd committed atrocities so heinous that even execution was considered too merciful. The guards there were the hardest, most emotionally detached beings Krelnox could find. Marcus was thrown into his cell without ceremony. The door sealed with a magnetic lock that could withstand a plasma cannon. The human looked around his 2x3-meter accommodation, a metal shelf for sleeping, a waste disposal unit, and nothing else. He sat down on the shelf and closed his eyes. The first incident occurred on day 3. Guard Sergeant Throck, a Grimlock whose reputation for cruelty had earned him commendations, was making his rounds when he heard something from the human's cell. Singing. The human was singing. Throck slammed his shock baton against the cell door. Silence, Deathworlder. The singing stopped. Then Marcus's voice came through the door, calm and friendly. Sorry about that. Helps pass the time. You doing okay out there? Sounds like a long shift. Throck's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. No prisoner had ever asked about his well-being. Your concern is irrelevant. If you say so, Marcus replied. But you sound tired. When's your rotation end? 2 more cycles, Throck found himself answering before he could stop himself. He shook his massive head and walked away, disturbed. By day 7, something strange was happening. Guard Corporal Slixra, a Vexenar female who'd never spoken an unnecessary word in her 15 years of service, found herself pausing at the human cell during feeding time. The nutrient paste today is the green variety, she said, sliding the tray through the slot. Thanks, Slixra, Marcus said. How's your shoulder? You were favoring it yesterday. Slixra's bioluminescent skin flickered with surprise. How did you? Used to work freight. You learn to spot when someone's carrying an injury. Old wound or recent? Old, she admitted. A combat injury from the border wars. It aches when the station's gravity fluctuates. Have you tried heat therapy? We used to use heating pads on Earth for chronic pain. Might help. Slixra stood there for a moment, processing the fact that a prisoner was giving her medical advice. And that she was considering it. By week 2, Warden Krelnox noticed something alarming in the security reports. Guard efficiency in Omega Block had increased by 23%. Incidents of prisoner violence were down by 40%. And his guards were talking to each other. The common room, usually silent except for shift briefings, now had conversations. Guards were sharing stories, asking about each other's families, even laughing occasionally. The nexus of this change was obvious. Every guard rotation in Omega Block spent at least some time talking with the human. Krelnox decided to investigate personally. He found Marcus in his cell, doing what appeared to be exercises, push-ups using only his fingertips. The human completed a set, then sat up, apparently unsurprised by the warden's arrival. "Warden Krelnox," Marcus said pleasantly. "Finally decided to visit? What are you doing to my guards?" Krelnox demanded. "Talking to them, mostly. Listening. You've got a good team here, you know. Throck's dealing with guilt over a mission gone wrong 5 years ago. Slixare misses her hive mates but won't admit it because she thinks it's weakness. Guard Brontar in D-Shift is actually quite funny once you get him talking. This is a maximum security prison, not a social club." Marcus stood, stretching. "Yeah, I noticed. But here's the thing, Warden, your guards are people too. Well, sentient beings. They spend their lives in this dark place, surrounded by violence and hopelessness, and nobody ever treats them like anything other than weapons or machines. They are disciplined professionals. They're lonely," Marcus interrupted gently. "Isolated. Just like the prisoners, really. Maybe more so, because at least the prisoners can admit they're suffering." Krelnox was quiet for a long moment. "You're from Earth. A death world. Your people are supposed to be aggressive, violent, domineering." Marcus smiled. "Earth is a Class 15 death world because everything there is trying to kill you, yeah. But you know what humans learned over millions of years of evolution? We learned that survival isn't about being the strongest or the most violent. It's about cooperation. Community. We're pack animals, Warden. We survive by taking care of each other. So your strategy is, friendship. My strategy is recognizing that everyone, no matter how tough or scary they look, needs someone to see them as a person. Your guards don't get that. They're just tools to you. But me? I've got nothing but time, and back on Earth, I learned that a kind word costs nothing and can mean everything." Over the following weeks, the transformation of Omega Block continued. Guards started supporting each other, sharing duties when someone was struggling. They began mentoring newer guards instead of hazing them. Prisoner incidents decreased further because the guards were more attentive, more engaged. And it all radiated from a single human who'd been sentenced there as punishment. Krelnox found himself visiting Marcus's cell regularly, at first to investigate, then, just to talk. He shared concerns about the facility, about the pressure from the Concordat administration. Marcus listened and offered perspectives the warden had never considered. 6 months into Marcus's sentence, the Concordat Review Board arrived for a standard inspection. What they found shocked them. The galaxy's worst prison had the highest guard retention rate, lowest violence incidence, and best rehabilitation success rate in the entire system. "What did you do?" the lead inspector asked Krelnox. The warden glanced toward Omega Block. "I learned something from a Class 15 Deathworlder. Humans survived their world not by being the deadliest predator, but by being the best friend. And it turns out, that's a far more powerful survival trait than we ever imagined." Marcus was released early for good behavior, his sentence commuted to time served. As he walked out, every guard in Omega Block lined up, not as jailers, but as friends saying goodbye. Throck clasped his shoulder. "Take care of yourself, Marcus." Slixare's bioluminescence flickered in a pattern Marcus had learned meant affection. "Your heat therapy suggestion worked. Thank you." As Marcus left the obsidian depths, Krelnox stood in his office, looking at the report he'd just filed. He'd requested that all Concordat prisons implement human social protocols, essentially, treating guards as people who needed support and community. The request was approved unanimously. The galaxy's worst prison had been transformed not by violence or punishment, but by a simple human truth: everyone needs a friend, even in the darkest places. Especially in the darkest places.